What we eat is extremely important. It affects every aspect of our body, from how we feel to how we think to how our bodies function. And sometimes we're so busy in daily life that cooking from home can be a bit of a struggle. So we opt for something fast, easy, and food that doesn't typically help us achieve our goals. Today, I'm going to show you what I do to make better food decisions and my secrets to losing fat, starting with meal prepping. Funny enough, I used to hate meal prepping. Like, you can go back to previous videos on my channel where I say, yeah, I just can't eat the same meal every single day. Meal prepping's a great option, but it's just not for me. Wow, I was completely wrong. For the past month, I have been meal prepping every single week. A huge component that led to this drastic shift is being busy. And if you have a busy schedule, the benefits to meal prepping are unmatched. It will save you time, reduce stress, potentially save you money, and lastly, it will allow you to eat healthier. This one habit, meal prepping once a week, has made my life so much easier to the point where I am a bit obsessed because it's working too well. And there's really no right or wrong way to do it. It's whatever works best for you and your schedule. Typically, I meal prep green juice, lunch, and dinner. Some weeks I meal prep for the whole week, and sometimes I only meal prep for the next day, but regardless, it saves me time and energy. I start my day with my morning routine, which typically involves green juice and intermittent fasting of solid meals until 11 a.m. And if you don't know, intermittent fasting is an eating pattern that alternates between periods of eating and fasting. And fasting has so many benefits. It leads to a reduction in calorie intake. It can improve your insulin sensitivity. It can help with your heart health, cellular repair, brain health. I mean, you get the point. It helps with so much. And I've seen it work extremely well for some people and not as well for others. So just consider giving it a try and seeing if it works for you. But as I was saying before, I typically have one green juice every morning, and it is such an easy way to add a variety of greens and vegetables to your day. I typically use cucumber, green apple, ginger, lemon, celery, and kale. You can make any green juice as you'd like, but I always say the more veggies, the better, since that's normally what we struggle to eat throughout the day. I've told you guys a lot about my 70-pound fat loss journey growing up, but versus focusing on me, I really want to tell you guys more about my childhood best friend, Danielle, who came from a family with different habits. For years, I watched the Abdallah family, and I discovered two key habits that kept them in fantastic shape: food variety and portion control. They enjoyed the typical American foods like burgers, mac and cheese, and even Chipotle, but their portion sizes were notably smaller. For instance, everyone in their family would split burgers. I mean, unless they were still hungry and wanted another half, and naturally, I would follow suit and only eat half as well. And over time, I realized I only needed half. It showed me the power of your environment, because when I was with my family, I would have naturally ate a larger portion just because it was normal in my family. Your environment and family habits can play a role even when you're grocery shopping. Another habit that I learned from the Abdallahs: only buy what you need. Don't think about next month, next 2 months, but take it week by week. After you buy your groceries, learn to practice finding the right portion sizes that leave you satisfied, not full. And there's a big difference between the two. Also, adding protein in every meal will help you feel satisfied and hold you over until your next meal. The Abdallahs also did an incredible job with food variety, and this stems from their dad's Lebanese background, but I always noticed the colors, the textures, and diverse nutrients in every meal. When you are going to select a meal, think about what colors can I add? What spices or textures could give this meal flavor or switch up the texture in my mouth? Maintaining a healthy gut involves consuming at least 30 different food groups each week. So when you go to sit down, think about, how can I switch up the color, the texture, the spices, or potentially even add in a food group? We often convince ourselves that living a healthy lifestyle means it is hard and impossible to stick with. But guess what? It doesn't have to be that way. Eating good for you doesn't have to be a big challenge. It can be something you enjoy. Grocery shopping, creating a list of the food that we want, selecting healthy food options, buying the groceries, cooking the groceries may seem like a daunting task on the surface, but the emotional and mental toll of not being comfortable with yourself in the long run is a greater obstacle. It's placing our sights on the big picture, our 5-year plan versus our 1-day plan. And it's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about being consistent. So just focus on making small, doable changes. And the easiest way to do that is to think about what do you like and what makes you happy and start incorporating those food groups. But there are so many healthy food options out there. We just have to be willing to try it. Last week, I made this delicious pink pasta and I wanted to recreate it tonight, but let's talk choosing the right foods. If I asked you, what are examples of carbs, proteins, or fats? You would likely be able to name a few. So why is it so hard to select the right foods? Well, I can tell you, speaking for myself, if I'm tired, hungry, overwhelmed, or a little bit mix of all of those things combined, count me out, okay? I'm not selecting the right food. I know myself, I am weak. Here's a list of a few things I do to help me choose the right foods for every meal. Number 1, continue to learn about nutrition and health. A few years back, I was getting a pedicure and I picked up a magazine that talked about the benefits of eating locally fresh foods versus store-bought fresh food. And the things I learned in that magazine changed my life because I've never heard that information before. Number 2, find the healthy food that tastes good to you. There are going to be healthy meals that you love and some that you could live without, but it's going to take time to discover what you really like. And number 3, understanding the basics on food labels like sugar, sodium, fats, carbs, and serving size will go a long way. Again, doing this in a mindful way. This isn't to put shame or guilt on you, but it's to give you awareness of the things you're putting in your body. When it comes to food, most of us can agree that we typically have an all or nothing mentality. Either I'm eating healthy or crappy. There's no in between. But is life not an entire journey of the in-between? I mean, we never fully arrive or make it. So how can we expect to constantly be perfect or constantly make the right choices? We can't. We strive for progress, knowledge, growth, and an open mind to know that true health and nutrition is 80-20. 80% mindful choices and 20% having a good time. Most days I stick to nourishing meals, but if I crave a cookie, I'll have it. The key is balance, not restriction. And if you continue with this mindset and aiming to be 1% better every day, you're setting yourself up for a lifetime of true happiness.